Hiya, Whisper here, back with more changes, but no Deathstalker yet. Hold your horses. Just core changes. Just core changes. So I'm gonna go through these real quick, point by point, talk about a little bit of their impact, and we'll go home back to Deathstalker waiting room. Alrighty. So first things first. Acro Strike has been redesigned. That's the range increase. It no longer increases range, but it does increase auto attack damage. So it's a little bit of a damage thing now. But the big thing is that Acro was the last remaining range increase. They've been putting all of the range increases out of the game, nerfing it all out. So no more range increases for anyone. Good stuff. This is just following suit. New talent Shadowheart. This is interesting because it's kind of out of order a little bit in the notes. But this leech increased by 3% while stealthed is actually where the subterfuge point is. So you go Shadowrunner into this 3% leech while stealthed. And we'll get to that later. But next thing, cut to the chase, baseline for all specs, so Outlaw, Subtlety, Assassination, which means that this talent point frees up as well. Again, keep that in mind, because these notes are all out of order and really jumbled. And then a little bit of a nerf to Tight Spender. Subterfuge is now a 2-point talent. So it's up to 6 seconds. So the first one is 3, the second one is 6. And this is going where Night Stalker is. So this is moving down into Night Stalker. Because Shadowheart is taking this spot. Which means Night Stalker also deleted. Night Stalker gone. No more. Without a Trace, that is the second charge of Vanish for Subtlety, is moving to the class tree, replacing Shadow Dance. So instead of going Soothing Darkness into Night Stalker into Shadow Dance, we're now going Soothing Darkness into Subterfuge, 6-second Subterfuge, into a second Vanish charge. So the implication of that, no more Kingsbane snapshotting. No more Shadow Dance, no more Kingsbane snapshotting, no more Night Stalker buffs of things. It's just purely to get our damage windows. So improved Garrote, Master Assassin, that's kind of the use case. Carnage, obviously, as well. It all applies through Subterfuge. And those changes are coming a little bit later when we talk about the spec tree, not the class tree. So again, this is a leech node. Subterfuge moves down to here, 2 points, 6 seconds total, and this is a Vanish charge instead of Shadow Dance. And Acro, range increase, doesn't exist, just a little bit of melee damage. Okay. So, let me scroll a little here. Class tree, done. Spec tree now. Rapid Injection takes this spot of Cut to the Chase because it's baseline. Rapid Injection is basically just a light version of the tier set we have now, the 4-piece. This is another residual effect, kind of. But it's just Envenom deals increased damage, so obviously the Envenom, it will go through Caustic Spatter and all that. Chaining Envenoms, still on the menu. A lot weaker because it's not a tier set anymore, but good to go. This is a big one. Bone Spike being redesigned into a passive. So instead of getting your Bone Spike and having to throw them one by one, each GCD, it now triggers off of Rupture. It still does all the same things, still gives a combo point, still adds a bleed, still does instant damage, all of that stuff. But it's just proccing off of Rupture. Like, done. Now, obviously, this has implications with Carnage. Carnage will make Rupture apply to 3 targets, the main target plus 2 additional, and you will have 3 charges because it's still the same charges. So when you Rupture from Stealth with Carnage, you hit 3 targets, you get 3 Bone Spikes, fills all your combo points, you're good to go, right? So essentially our opener can be Garrote, well, depending on how many targets, obviously, but let's say 5 targets, hypothetically. Would Garrote, Rupture, Crimson Tempest. Because the Rupture would apply to Bone Spike would give you all the combo points, and then you can directly go into Crimson Tempest. No need for Fan of Knives, no need for anything. You can just Rupture, Crimson Tempest, Rupture Envenom, and that'll be really good. If we play this in single target, obviously it won't be as potent in like opener settings because we won't be getting all the combo points. We'll just be getting one. But I think it's a really, really good change to make Bone Spike a little bit more viable because Bone Spike is just too slow. It's too many GCDs. So removing the GCD part, great stuff. Then we have Improved Garrote going up to 6 seconds and Carnage going down to 6 seconds. So this is just removing all of the weird timing stuff to match Subterfuge. So Subterfuge, if you take it, 6 seconds. Improved Garrote, 6 seconds. Carnage, 6 seconds. It's all 6 seconds. Everything's 6 seconds now. So you don't have to remember, oh, well, this is 3 and this is 10, so I'm going to Garrote 3 times, but then I can't Garrote anymore because I might override other Garrotes. None of that's happening anymore. Everything is just 6 seconds, done and dusted. You can Garrote, you can Rupture, whatever you need to do in that window. Once the 6 seconds are over, you're done. Cool. I like that change. Really helps simplify the spec and kind of make the timing more approachable. Then we have a Kingsbane change. You can read the dev note here. This kind of explains it. I'm just going to reword it, essentially. But Kingsbane has always had the problem, since Dragonflight's released, of people going, oh, but the Dragon Temper Blades double poison. Which is a really, really strong interaction. Because if you play Kingsbane and you play Dragon Temper Blades, you're just getting way more ramp on your Kingsbane. That's the original reason why you couldn't take both in like 10.0 and 10.1. The rework in 10.2 nerfed Dragon Tempered Blades to have less poison chance in order to try and combat this, but we all saw what happened in 10.2 in Amir Drasil. Kingsbane ramping just went out of control. We started stacking Shadow Dance on it, we started stacking Vanish on it, T-charges, like we put all of our eggs into this Kingsbane basket. Like everything was buffing Kingsbane. And then you'd add PI on top of it, and so there's a hidden cap of 99 that people could reach during Bloodlust and PI pretty comfortably. And it just, Kingsbane is just so strong. So in order to prevent some of the crazy scaling from happening, they've cut the cap in half. So it went from 99 to 50. They did buff the base damage a little bit, so it kind of makes up for it. This is actually bigger than you think, because all of the buffs here multiply off of this, right? So this base 6% means that it's actually bigger at the end as well, because the 1000% is on top of this, right? So small number, big number, doesn't make sense in brain, but it does kind of bridge the gap a little bit. Kingsbane overall is still a lot weaker, though. That's going to hurt our burst. We're not going to be as bursty of a spec anymore. We're not going to be the uber king of burst damage in a Deathmark window. The damage is still going to be good. Kingsbane's still going to be good. Deathmark's still going to be good. Like, our burst is still there, but it is not the entire spec anymore. It'll be interesting to see what the implication of that is for Mythic Plus, for example, without Kingsbane, you know, giga juicing Spatter and being a billion damage in AoE anymore. But it's an interesting change. I kind of like it. Lets the rest of the tree breathe a little bit instead of, you know, always going, oh, well, I need to take Kingsbane everywhere, everything, every time. Like, there's possibilities now where we just don't take Kingsbane anymore because we don't need the burst. And something more passive can take its place. So, really good change in my opinion. The Kingsbane is definitely a little bit out of control, so taming it a little bit down, all good in my book. And then Sepsis has been removed, so this is just Bone Spike now. Sepsis is gone. They also deleted it out of Outlaw, so Sepsis in general, no more. So confusing with the... If you played it in Aberrus, you kind of understand. Gave a stealth ability at the start and the end. Super confusing timing. You had to hold the second buff for a while. Good riddance. I don't really like Sepsis. Sepsis was a pain and so confusing for a majority of the player base. So I'm good with it gone. The Bone Spike buff in its place is more than enough, and it's great. And so these are just the core changes. I think they're really good. I really enjoy them. I do have a little bit of a concern around Carnage because the duration did get reduced, and so like cleaving is technically worse. But then again, we can garrote, rupture because of Bone Spike. If you take Bone Spike, even if you can't, you still get your second rupture off. So I think in general, for the spec being tuned around 5 targets, right? This is all 5 target, 5 target. I don't think that Carnage necessarily hurts in Mythic Plus, but there are niche cases where you have like a ton of enemies, and in those situations, maybe you're losing out on a rupture. But I don't really think it matters that much. You're still getting 2 ruptures and 3 garrotes most of the time. In big AoE, and that's enough to cap out your Scent of Blood. So shouldn't be too much of a problem. Anyways, let me know what you guys think, and I'll be back later for Deathstalker, maybe, whenever that releases. Bye!